10 floor. Everyone get out.
Hello tankers and tankettes, welcome back to Armoured Warfare, and this is the second and final bit of footage I've got from the closed test that they recently ran, that closed a couple of days ago. The next one is going to be, I believe, a continuous test, so the test server will be up 24 hours a day when it's not being, you know, taken down for maintenance or patching or whatever. I largely enjoyed my time playing AW, but I struggled to have any real good games in just the test and the tanks that I actually got as far as unlocking. This was the highest of them, this and the M60, which were both on the Vulfi tree. And this one is, again, it's an armoured fighting vehicle, so it is effectively one of the scouts. You can see down there that much like the LAV 150, it's got that lighting up ability. The other noticeable thing about this game, or notable even, is that a certain Mr. Oak was on the enemy team, and he'd only just gotten into the test, I think, a couple of days prior. He wasn't in it for the whole test period. But I would be interested to see what his thoughts and feelings on it were as well. But yeah, you should definitely go and check out his channel. Anyway, enough of the mutual appreciation, you know. This was top tier matchmaking, and one of the things I didn't note in the last video is that matchmaking in this game is actually +1, -1. Now, the way it works is that if you are in the matchmaking queue for longer than a minute, or, well, the way it works at the moment, one of the things that the tests are here to determine is to, you know, to test things like the matchmaking. But if you're in the queue longer than a minute, then matchmaking starts to relax the rules and increase the tier spread, as it were. And World of Tanks actually does this as well. But of course, World of Tanks has got the +2, -2 to begin with, so that automatically is going to make some people like this game more, the fact that it has got tighter matchmaking. This thing, well, it is, it's reasonably mobile, but the gun's not particularly great, and the Shishkin line and the Vulfi line, the main differentiation between them seemed to be that one was a bit more about mobility and the other was a bit more about firepower. Well, having said a bit more about mobility, the M60, which I also unlocked, is on the Vulfi tree, and that is not the fastest machine. So the 73mm gun on this, I actually found out that AP against a lot of targets is a bit of a waste of time. You'll just bounce the shells off because it's only a 73mm gun. It's also got terrible gun depression, and this wasn't really meant for fighting other armoured vehicles. I mean, it's in Armoured Warfare because they can put the ammo on it that makes it effective for fighting other lightly armoured targets. But against more heavily armoured targets, you just have to fire HE and hope you don't get hit yourself. Because this thing was a kind of combination infantry fighting vehicle and personnel carrier. And it was also amphibious. And I have absolutely no idea if they plan to put amphibious capabilities in this game or not. But it'd be interesting if they decided to do that at some point. So, as you can see, we've got this T-62A who is alone and is just being swarmed. And I do manage to get a couple of hits in, but those heat shells aren't doing a lot of damage. Now, we haven't spotted anyone else yet. Also, this is basically the entire team that came north, although there's a small group of tanks that stayed a little bit closer to the map, that are sort of towards the north end of the airfield there, as you can see. And they've spotted a couple of people, but we still don't know where the bulk of the enemy team is, and we've only killed a couple of enemy tanks. So I think, okay, I'm going to head back. There's that gun depression. But before I do, yeah, that's PT-76, and AP shells can definitely pen that. And if he keeps poking his bum out like that, well, as soon as I've reloaded, there we go, first kill. So, as you can hear, somebody just drove across the cap. They didn't stop in the cap, but we know that enemy tanks have at least pushed around as far as our cap at this point. So, yeah, it's definitely going to head back. Although, I might get another chance for another couple of sneaky shots, maybe. It looks like a Scorpion down there. Shot off, and just misses him, and then he is out of my sight. So, oh well, never mind. The actual render range in this game, it seems like it's longer than World of Tanks, but I'm not sure. World of Tanks has a hard limit of 500 meters. and it's not even a 500 meter circle, it's 500 meter square around your tank. I don't actually know the details of how it works in this game. It was one of the things that Circon asked when one of the community guys came on at the end of a stream a week or two ago. But there are certainly, I mean, there are things that we just don't know about this game yet, and other things that might be subject to change. So, although I enjoyed playing this game we're watching here, this was one of the few games I had where I actually felt like I did really well, and a large part of that was just me being unfamiliar with the maps and unfamiliar with the vehicles. And I will say that the ammo types, I mean, it's a little bit like War Thunder in that regard. The ammo types matter a lot more in this than they do in World of Tanks, because World of Tanks is quite simplified, but whereas in this, the main way you upgrade your gun is by getting better shell types unlocked. Shells that have more penetration, more damage. So I'm just trying to spot these people that are on the cap, although as you can see there's a couple of people between us and the cap as well. The capping time on this, I mean, this is just kind of like a standard map mode. It seems a lot longer than it does in World of Tanks, so you have much more of a comfortable window, and this is one of those things that might be subject to change. They might decide that the capping time takes too long, but it does kind of, it would seem to fit in with that philosophy that they want games to be more kind of action-packed. They want them to be more kind of dynamic and focused on damaging enemy tanks rather than capping objectives and that kind of thing. And it would seem to fit with that they make the cap time a bit longer. So anyway, I spotted that guy was down there and was able to just crest over that hangar and take him out, which was fine. We had a comfortable lead in this game all the way along, and as you can see we've kept it quite nicely. And there's another target, and I take him out. Very nice. And because these were all, again, AFVs, I was able to use my AP on them. And I think that gets me more damage. I can't actually remember offhand which shell did more damage. It might have been the heat shells, actually. But regardless, we're down to that last enemy Scorpion, and there's that gun impression. Just that slight bump in the road would set my gun just swinging up in the air. Let's ram on him. Didn't really seem to do much damage, but anyway, he's about to die, and we've won. So, the test, I mean, I kind of enjoyed it, but I couldn't sit down and play it as long as I play World of Tanks. If the full game is all this, then that would limit how much I'd want to sit down and play it. But honestly, I didn't get that far on the tech trees. I got to rank 3 on the Wolfie tech tree with the M60 and the BMP-1, and it's not like this is even anything like the full range of vehicles that are going to be in the final game, because there are only up to, I think, was it rank 5, rank 6 vehicles, and they're talking about at least 10 tiers, maybe even 11 tiers. You know, 10 tiers is not necessarily a hard cap, so it's very, very early days for this game yet. Like, it's, even though it feels relatively playable and it looks okay, I don't think anyone's going to get wowed by the graphics. And bear in mind, the footage you've just seen was all on the low graphics setting. I did mention in the previous video that I have to record on low because I was having trouble with recording any higher than that. But I suspect that is also to do with the fact that I have an AMD graphics card, and we'd have definite confirmation that they are concentrating, at least initially, on optimizing the game for NVIDIA graphics cards. So that is probably not helping me out at all, because I can record World of Tanks on fairly decent settings, so I suspect it's just that combined with the early-ish state the game's in and the relative lack of optimization. So yeah, but for what's there, it's, so far my gut feeling is if it's like this when it comes out as a full game, it's gonna kind of fall into that War Thunder category of I will play it every so often, like maybe a couple of times a week. Which is, maybe World of Warships is a more fair comparison, because I'm playing a lot more World of Warships than I am War Thunder at the moment. So yeah, it's the kind of game where I think, okay, I want to do something a little bit different, that plays a little bit different, and therefore I will go play Armoured Warfare. But it's, in its present state, for me, it's not going to make me switch away from World of Tanks as the game I play the most, and the game I cover the most on the channel. But I do think it's a good thing that it exists. And Jingle said this when World of Warplanes was in development, before it turned out to be the somewhat disappointing final product. Although Wargaming, you know, they do still apparently have plans to try and revamp that. But yeah, the fact that there is just competition for World of Tanks, we've already seen the fact that Wargaming might be slightly feeling the pressure by things like we're getting Q&A dev answers that suggest they are considering looking at different ways of doing artillery in World of Tanks. So the competition is good. The threat of Wargaming losing their paying customers it's going to make them up their game, and that is a good thing for World of Tanks players, because it means maybe World of Tanks will get out of the rut that it feels like it's in some areas, in some game mechanics, because there hasn't really been a real reason for Wargaming to change anything up until now, because what's their competition been? War Thunder? I mean, that's got its fan base, but the chances are that, you know, if you were going to change from World of Tanks to War Thunder, you'd have done it by now, and Wargaming isn't exactly hemorrhaging players, so yeah, we'll see how it works out. But this is ultimately, even if I don't end up playing it that much, it's still a good thing for me, because it might help improve World of Tanks. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, this is all, like I said, it's early days. Hopefully we won't turn into another War Thunder / World of Warplanes situation where one of them turns out to be a total flop, but I don't think that is the case, just having played what I've played so far. So you'll definitely see more AW coverage when the next iteration of the test server comes out, but for now, hopefully you enjoyed this game. Like I say, you should definitely go check out Oak's channel, and if you enjoyed this video, you can hit the like button, you can leave any comments below, you can subscribe to my channel, and as always, stay tuned for more.